Now to radio, and the media regulator, the ACMA, says that Today FM star Carl Sandilands breached the radio code of practice with his deeply derogatory and offensive comments about a female journalist who reported on criticism of his TV show last November. It's imposed a new licence condition on Southern Cross Austereo, prohibiting it from broadcasting indecent content or content that demeans women or girls, a condition that the company says is unworkable. Well, for more on this, let's return to James and Nick Keenan, our guest today from Mediacom. This is interesting. I mean, obviously, quite a lot of debate about this too. James, I just wonder, I mean, does the punishment fit the crime?
Yeah, well, you could sort of argue, has there been much punishment? Perhaps not, but I'm sort of a bit conflicted because I'd like to think the free market can look after this. The employer, I think, should be able to handle it. The court of public opinion will stop listening if they don't like what they're hearing. But I've got a feeling you mightn't agree with me, Nick.
You and I differ on this one. I think that ACMA should have come out with a recommendation to slap him, either he or the network with a fine. It's the only way that you're going to stop that kind of vitriolic sort of attack on an individual who simply was doing their job. I'm not, and I'm like you in terms of I think the free market most of the time should look after itself, but particularly in the environment we're in, where there's some sensitivity around, particularly from what's happening with the government and the Finkelstein report. It was just that we just didn't need that, because I think the Finkelstein report goes way too far in terms of what it's recommending, and I don't think that's healthy for democracy or our media. And then you get this, which is sort of a tap on the hand, and some very ambiguous where you can't use offensive content. I mean, where's the line in the sand on offensive content that you can or cannot say? I mean, he's a shock jock. He's going to go and say certain words that certain people are going to be offended, and he shouldn't be called into question for that either. But in terms of his form, there's been some incidences where certain women have I wouldn't say the word attacked, but they've been verbally lambasted or abused by Kyle, and it's just something that I think he'd probably rather pay a fine and just get on with it and try not to do it again. And I'm sure the network would probably just like to pay a fine and get on with it without all this huge public opinion, which obviously brings it to the attention of every agency and every advertiser and every mum and dad in the country. Is
there a role in the sense that advertisers can act as censors here? And I guess, do you ever get asked by clients, whether they should be pulling away from a certain media property because of things like this?
Clients will ask recommendations in certain things, but clients are very socially aware. They don't need to ask us, or do you think this is too offensive for my brand? They know that. What they expect from us is that we keep them alerted to a situation when it emerges straight away, because a lot of the inventory can be current and on air. Something happens within the marketplace like this, and the next day, you look at a campaign schedule for a client and they've got spots all over his within his show, and so we need to, it's incumbent on us to let them know immediately, and if they want to cancel them, we can give a recommendation, and we often do. But they know what's good for their brand, and a family brand in this situation is going to run a mile from that kind of content or attack, and that type of commentary. There are other brands that have more. They're more at the cutting edge, and they'll be more tolerant to the ebbs and flows of a shock jock, but ultimately this one, I think for everyone, was pretty uncomfortable.
We are just going to have to take a quick break, but of course the radio ratings, Survey 2 for 2012 were out this week. We're going to bring you some more on that after this quick break here on Mediaweek.